It's kind of hard to describe. But when you've grown up in a place like this, or you've spent a lot of time in a place like this, you either love it or you hate it. And if you love it, it never leaves you. You just can't get it out of your system. You've got to come back. We come in here and we feel totally content. When we were young, we took it for granted. And it wasn't until we got a bit older that we realised how precious a place like this is.
The Marlborough Sounds, 4,000 square kilometres of sounds, islands and peninsulas, and breathtaking beauty. Known as Te Tauihu-o-te-waka of Maui, the prow of Maui's waka, an intricate collection of winding waterways. This area accounts for 1/10 of Aotearoa's total coastline.
What do you mate? Welcome aboard.
Good about that.
What up?
I hadn't even come to the South Island. First time I went to the South Island probably was 2014. I was like late 20s. And it felt like a whole different country. And then again, heard about Marlborough Sounds, you know, my whole life. But then to come here, it kind of felt that same thing. Whole nother country, you know, going through the sounds. You have mountains down both sides. Really beautiful country.
It's actually a collection of ancient sunken river valleys, flooded by the Pacific Ocean since the Ice Age. Our first stop is Paua Island, the place where Te Wheke o Mutirangi and Kupe faced their final battle.
We're at the very northern extreme of Aotearoa Island. Being brought up by the moana, it's just a wairua of moana and the whenua. We belong to it. It owns us.
All right. My stuff.
Oh,
Kia ora. Kia ora. Kei te pai. Kei te pai.
Hey. Hey, mai, hoki mai. Hey, mai. I built it in 1962, that dwelling. The breastworks break the wave up and it's only spray touches the building. But eventually, you know, with rising sea levels, we have to put a high rise on top, make the bottom bit a boat shed. Te manu tohoro, Ariki, actually lived here in his latter days. This is where his marae was here, long before this building was ever here. And as far back as I can remember, there was this patch of grasses here. And then when I decided to put this deck down, I thought, oh, I'll better dig you up and put you over there. So I dig him up and put him over there. Went away to Australia, come back about 4 months later. Hello. He's not over there, he's here. And I say it's potai, you know. So I haven't touched it since.
That's cool.
1856, there was the Tauihu land sales. All of this area, right through to Picton and to Anakiwa, was sold, except this end of the island where we're talking about now. Shortly after the land sales took place, our people took to it with the axe, and because it was all virgin bush, a big bush, bowled it over and burnt it and turned it into farming land. Yeah. And then it was found by my great-grandfather, my grandfather, and my father and myself. This is a little bit of a history all of our whānau. This one here is Te Whawai Tahuroa. In the 1830s, he was christened by the Wesleyan Church. They gave him the name of a prominent Wesleyan theologian, whose name was Richard Watson, and that's where our name Watson actually came from. Beside him here is his eldest son, Tikarera, and he did a big proportion of the clearing of the ngahere for the farming activities. In the 60s and 70s, the farming became unviable, and so all the Maori farmers up the scene, we decided we'd stop farming and let the whenua regenerate to what it was in the 1820s and in the 1860s, because it was mostly our people that did it. So it was our responsibility, like the Tauihu-o-te-waka and all the other Maori landowners who had followed the same kaupapa, to put it back.
Yeah.
It was the size of these manukas.
Far out, those are huge, eh? When there was farming on the island, was this just nothing here, or cleared out?
No, it was grass.
Yeah.
All grass,
Yeah.
This has all sort of taken effect in 50 years, which is, in time span, is only small, eh?
It's very small, yeah.
Yeah.
Man, you wouldn't even know there was a farm here, would you?
After the 50 years, we have all this mat of manuka and kanuka and nio and all those ones, the early stage ones, coming through. And that then gave us the opportunity for introducing bees.
So we've come full circle.
Yeah, yeah.
Will I get stung? No, I won't get stung, eh?
I won't tell them.
Oh, yeah.
Sting you.
All right, I'll stay a bit. So you've got 100 and they're spread out. This is one of your main little plots?
I just keep a few for the winter that I can manage.
Takes a bit of maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long has it been a business?
Well, I started in 2017. So when the COVID thing turned up and all that stuff, I did a little bit of research and found that there were firms doing lozenges with lemon and other sorts of stuff inside. The manuka honey benefits had already been proven clinically and scientifically, so they had all the data backing it. And knowing the benefits of kawakawa, so we were just tossing in
some extra
the
medicinal,
kawakawa,
superpowers.
Yeah. We'd like to see it revert to what it was in the 1820s when our people came. It would be great if all of the island was able to regenerate, where you just lived off the koko and the moana and ika and all those things that are naturally here. Eventually, I'm hopeful.
The Marlborough Sounds is as remote as it is magical. Cruising these waterways, it feels almost prehistoric somehow. Like you wouldn't be surprised if a taniwha popped its head out of the water.
We're pretty much in the thick of it over here, right in the depths of Tāne Mahuta and Tangaroa.
The Sounds is like a real mixture of land and sea. They're both equally as important. A lot of places are boat access only. It's lots of little islands and peninsulas and small bays and lots of hidden little gems everywhere. I'm a bit biased, but one of the most beautiful places in New Zealand.
I think a good place to start would be, what you doing here?
Yeah, awesome. I'd love to tell you about it. We are in Havelock. This is the gateway to the Marlborough Sounds. I work in our family business, Mills Bay Mussels. Look at this.
Right.
Fresh off the boat.
I think I know how to do it, but let's see an expert.
Alrighty. Well, take your pick. Mussel farming is very low input farming, so the mussels get seeded onto the farms, but there's no feeding or fertilising or medicating or anything like that. So they're basically organic product naturally and native.
From the earth, from the sea.
Yeah.
Oh, how come your one looks way nicer than mine? Look at
It's because I've literally shucked like 10,000 mussels.
Oh, I'll watch you do one.
Okay. So I pull the beard to the top a little bit, give it a squeeze, go around, and it relaxes. Then I go back of my knife. You should just be able to pop it off like that.
She's clean. What's your favourite way to have them?
I love them shucked with garlic butter and lemon zest on the half shell. Yeah.
He's done a good job on the shucking. They're nice and tidy.
My ones are probably the other ones. So, what are we cooking here? This
We're
recipe?
going to do the classic garlic butter mussel, the panko crumb on top, give it a bit of crispy texture.
Yeah.
How hungry are you guys?
This just made me very hungry. So, I'm very hungry.
If you've eaten beer battered mussels from fish and chip shops, you'll notice the difference when you eat these ones.
Heaven!
Start doing the Thai coconut curry.
Oh my God.
These two here, we've got the garlic butter mussel, bit of panko crumb on top, give them texture, bit of crisp. Over here we've got the Thai coconut curry mussel and the classic old beer batter mussel.
Oh, 3 ways. So should we get into it?
Let's have it that way.
Damn it. Too good.
The Marlborough Sounds is a maze of waterways, peninsulas, inlets, and more than 30 islands. The largest is Rangitoto ki te Tonga, or D'Urville Island. Home to around 50 permanent residents and separated from the mainland by the treacherous tidal flows of the French Pass.
I used to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, probably about 7 or 8 years old. And I'd row a dinghy out, set a long line for snapper, then go to school. And then after school I'd row out the dinghy and pull this long line up. And it would have some snapper on it and we'd cut it and then put it in a fish bin and put it in a freezer.
I just stepped through there trying.
I didn't know where this place was, and then they told us we're going to D'Urville Island. I had to look on the map. One of them was like, oh, this little way up here. I think the main thing I want to talk about is your fishing. It's a big part of your life.
Growing up in D'Urville Island, there's really only 2 job opportunities here. One is farming and the other is fishing. And I wasn't fond of farming. So it was just a foregone conclusion that I would continue to be a fisherman. We never commercially fished in this area. But we kept these spots that were close to home as places where we could get a feed in a hurry if we needed one. You know, like we could row a dinghy around here and catch a feed of blue cod if we needed to.
Yeah, what a delicacy, man.
Oh, absolutely.
In your whole time, I bet you've seen some very, very rough seas.
Absolutely. And one of the jobs I did, we took a 45-metre boat from Wellington and steamed it up to Fiji, and we were fishing for a fish up there called paka. And I went outside and I had a look up at the sky and I could see these spokes radiating out from the sun all the way around it. And I thought, that's not normal. And there were 2 cyclones. One approaching from the northwest, heading southeast, and another one from the northeast, heading southwest. And where they were going to converge and became one was exactly where we were fishing. And through the night, the weather was that bloody rough and the rain was so heavy, we were jokingly taking bets if the boat sunk, would it be the seawater or the rainwater?
Got these big bites. What's the bites?
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like that it was really tricky to live on an island, or has it just always been the way that you lived?
I grew up here, and I never really wanted to leave. And then 8 years ago, I came home from sea and I said to my wife, I'm going to give up my job and move back to the island. And she says, well, what are you going to do there? I said, well, I'm going to buy a boat.
So you said you wouldn't have come out here for more than a month at a time until you finally moved.
Yeah, because when Lindsay was fishing, he didn't really get a lot of time off. Luckily, the company that he worked for at the time, they always made sure that their boats were tied up for Christmas, which was really, really good because for family, I mean, you put up with a lot over the time. So yeah, we'd come in for a couple of weeks, and that would be the longest stint that we would usually be here for.
She was working in Nelson. Just over 12 months ago, she gave up her job and she moved here full time. And that was going to be an interesting kind of thing for us because we've never actually lived together full time.
Really?
Because, well, I was always away at sea. And so we weren't sure if we were even going to be able to do it. But she's loving it here. I'm loving her being here. I can't imagine me living anywhere else now, and I can't really imagine Cheryl living anywhere else now.
I can see why.
The common thing I've found in my travels around the islands of Aotearoa is the people's affinity with the ocean. And it's no different here in the Sounds. The people who live here rely on the ocean. It's their sanctuary, their food basket, and for many of them, their livelihood.
Oh, seal. Woohoo! Look, we've got seals over here. We've also got sharks right there. And they seem to be not attacking the seal, which is probably better for our children viewers. I do not know what I'd do if I saw one of those under the water. So what are we doing today?
We're at Cape Lambert. We're going to go for a dive, hopefully get some crayfish.
This is one of your favourite spots?
Yeah, that's a good spot. Good crays normally, good visibility.
All right, well, I trust your judgment. How long have you and your family been part of this area?
I've been living around here about close to 30 years now, I suppose. Been coming up here my whole life. I live in the Sounds because of the lifestyle. Living off the land and going out, catching feed, sharing it with people. That's what it's all about. Where we live, you know everybody. It's a good place to bring up my kids. Because of the price of a house in Auckland, you can probably buy 3 houses in Havelock.
Beautiful down there, though, eh?
Yeah, nice. It looks pretty clear.
It's real clear. That was nice, beautiful dive. Awesome terrain. Yeah, found a few nice crays. If you don't count Stewart Island, it's actually my first dive in the South Island. Yeah, pretty nice one to start. To pop the cherry, the South Island cherry.
That's a big female, eh? Yeah. Woo.
After days of travelling around the Sounds, I've almost made it back to where I started, Paua Island. Although this time, I've landed to the east.
We're over the other side of Paua. It does feel like you're stepping back in time going over there. And then coming right around to the other side, it's kind of newish over here. 2 totally different worlds on the very same island.
This spot looks directly out to Te Moana o Raukawa, the Cook Strait, where Kupe famously left the taniwha Tuhirangi to act as guardian.
I remember the first time we came to stay on the island, we'd bought the place in February, so it was summer, and we came back in June, so it was the dead of winter. And it was cold. The house only had a coal range to heat the water, and we had no coal. And I still remember getting up in the morning after Antonia came crying to me that she had a cold bath and thinking, we could get out of this now. But, you always have your moments, when things are tough. But overall, you wouldn't change it either.
Is that open sea or is that Wellington over
That's
there?
open sea, yeah, and now Cook Strait's in between, yeah. That's supposedly one of the roughest pieces of ocean in the world.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, this is the way we get our mail. Tuesdays and Fridays, they come out on a boat and bring us our groceries and mail and parts.
Why did you decide an island?
Well, I always wanted to have an abalone farm. My dad was an abalone diver in California. We happened to see this place for sale, and we came out and looked at it, and our first trip to New Zealand together as a couple, we bought this place.
Something special when you come here. When we saw the property, I went, yeah, we've got to buy this place somehow.
Coming to New Zealand for me was like walking into the past with knowledge of the future, you know, because you knew what was going to happen. It had, I mean, oceanfront land, and it just had no value here then. This was a non-economic farm block, that was it. We bought the place in '93, and then we started the abalone farm in around 2000, I think.
What sort of things are you doing with your paua, apart from just like straight meat?
We played with pearls for a long time, growing pearls in them, and that's became a bigger part of our business.
How long does it take from nothing to a pearl in your hand?
Well, those baby paua we grow for 4 years in our tanks. Then they're just big enough to put an insert in, and then we'll grow them for another 4 years. So we're looking at an 8-year cycle.
Okay.
There's around 50 odd eels here.
50?
These are not for eating, they're our pet eels.
Just of your pearls, do you get the round ones?
No, they're blister pearls, which makes them really good for jewelry, actually.
Yeah, it looks like the inside of a paua as well.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of them. This paua is probably the most beautiful shell in the world. It's much prettier than a white pearl or a black pearl.
It's awesome.
Yeah, the last couple of years we've really found out that blue pearls are the most rarest ones in the world. So we feel very blessed to be able to do what we're doing, yeah. And we're very passionate about the paua industry and where it is now and where we want to see it in 50, 100 years.
Paua is one of the things that's important to Maori culture, but I think it's important to the nation as a whole. And it's important that we realize that these kind of resources will last thousands of years if we take care of them.
It's almost the end of my journey here, and I feel like I've discovered a whole new part of Aotearoa.
The sounds have been quite crazy. Like, I never really thought about them. Didn't know how massive and epic they were. It's quite vast and very spread out. Really tall mountains right next to the ocean, and you're just kind of open to the elements everywhere.
And if there's one thing the people I've met here have in common, it's resilience, a mental toughness to face challenges head on.
I think there's challenges in living anywhere. There's just different challenges. One of the challenges we have here is that I've got to be a handyman. If something breaks down, I've got to be able to fix it if I can. You just can't pick up a phone and dial a tradesman and say, hey, I've got this problem, can you come and fix it? It's a lifestyle, and I don't think any lifestyle is easy. There's a lot of work involved, but we love it. When we were young, we took it for granted. It was here. And it wasn't until we got a bit older, when we came back, that we realised how precious a place like this is. My children, they already love it. They always have. Our grandchildren are young. They come in as often as they can, and they just love it here. And I think it's the freedom. Our intentions and what we'd like to think is that these two properties will never be sold. They'll remain in the family forever. That's how we want it to be.
It's time to say goodbye to the Marlborough Sounds. The hardest part of coming to these places is always leaving again.
I could definitely see myself in a spot like this. We're actually trying to recreate that same sort of thing up north, just where we can be self-sustaining, don't need to see too many people. Obviously don't have this sort of view on our back doorstep, but yeah, I can definitely see why they're living here and why they're doing what they're doing. Fishing, the ocean right there, seafood, tracking. I feel like there's no better place than this in the whole of our country, I reckon.